empowering our teams. Uh, Also wanted to say that we planned our meeting in such a way that in the first part of the event we will focus on some pre-planned points. Then the last 10-15 minutes of the meeting will be devoted to questions from the audience. So if any of you will have any questions, please leave them on the chat, and my colleague Veronica from Montreal will gather them, and we will be answering them in a second part of today's meeting. Topic is very interesting and important, as you, John, mentioned. So I hope this time will be really well spent for everyone. So, John, could you just tell us more about what is your area of interest and focus in your professional life, and also maybe in just few words what Cooleaf is, in case someone is new here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to reference a few slides as we have this dialogue, Lucas. So, first, just a quick intro for myself and for Cooleaf as an organization. So I'm one of the founders of the company. Been leading the company for a little over 10 years. During that time, we've had the opportunity to grow with Montreal as a strategic partner for engineering and development, which has been amazing. And we work with customers all over the world. So I believe that we're live in over 40 countries. North America, Europe, APAC. The main focus for us is how we help organizations become an employer of choice or a top workplace that attracts and retains the best people so they can be successful as a business. Okay. And our belief and what we're seeing in the industry is that every forward-thinking company will have a dedicated employee experience strategy because attracting, retaining talent is so critical, right? Now, with this is the conversation of mental health, right? And how that is part of this even bigger conversation when it comes to engagement, when it comes to how employees feel connected, valued, but specifically, and why I believe we may even be talking about this right now, is that over the last couple of years, as we've shifted to remote and some hybrid work, this has become much more of a topic, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so I don't know about you, Lucas, but I know that I tend to work more now that I'm working fully remote. It's like I never turn it off, and burnout is real. And so having this conversation, how do we support, love, care for our people as leaders, is directly going to impact our ability to have high engagement to perform as a business. So this is the work that we're doing today around overall employee engagement and employee experience with Cooleaf. And so my hope is to just share, here's what we're seeing. Here's how other organizations are approaching these topics. These are example strategies so that, other leaders can, have these ideas to implement with their teams. So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about Cooleaf and me. I'm passionate about this topic, if you can't tell.
Yeah, I can tell. And we are using Cooleaf. We are not only building that for you basically, but we are also using that. So I can also share some insight from my point of view as a project manager who runs the team that are using Cooleaf as a recognition platform and also work in this new approach. So I think we can start our discussion on the impact of general well-being and employee according to some phrase from Deloitte study. So employees whose organization supports their well-being and mental health are nearly 4 times more likely to be engaged at work and 5 times more likely to be loyal. So here's the question: in what ways have mental health resources become one of the essential, I think, benefits now, and how did it evolve over time? Because mainly in IT industry, there were many benefits. You not only get paid, but you can also have like extra few days off, super hardware or something like that. But for a couple of years, the access to those mental health resources is became more popular, and right now is one of the key benefits.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take everyone in our audience way back. Okay. This is going
Mm-hmm.
back to your school days here. I'm going to reference Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, bear with me, but I think it's helpful for me, as a
Mm-hmm.
leader to put this into context. Right. And, I think, hey, with remote work, this is new for a lot of people, and
Mm-hmm.
how we make sure that we are addressing the needs of our people. Yeah, we have to evolve. We have to think differently, based on the fact that we're not having that sense of community and connection and culture like we used to in a lot of organizations, because of the nature of remote work. And so, when I think of, the Deloitte study that you mentioned and how engagement and this increases loyalty, my question is why, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and so, when you reference back to Maslow's hierarchy, there's fundamental needs that need to be met.
Mm-hmm.
So once those start to be met, as I move up in this hierarchy, it's, hey, do I feel like I belong in this organization?
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel safe? Do I feel like I have a chance to connect and build relationships? Have friendships. Well, how do I do that in a remote setting? How does that impact me from a mental health perspective, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so these are fundamental needs, right? That I think from a leadership perspective, we have to keep in mind that the way we used to try to address these needs have shifted due to
Yeah.
largely remote work, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. I just remember that when I joined Montreal, of course, it was like always we are remote first. We work remotely, but it was always like, okay, but we have an office. Usually, everyone goes there. Couple of people works outside, and
yep,
now you need to start work fully remote. And I got used to the state when I had a team in one place. We have a meetings, we talk with each other every day, we drink coffee, we drink tea. And right now, how to do it, how to give the same experience of being part of the team, being part of the smaller even community, with the remote work.
that's right. That's right. And you know, again, taking a step back, this how we think about this will impact your
Mhm.
ability to recruit talent, your ability to keep talent, the ability to motivate talented people to achieve goals. Right in the U.S., um, hey, if I'm working remote and I'm being recruited from a company based in New York or San Francisco who have they have more resources to throw at people for salaries and so forth. Why am I going to stay at your company?
Yeah,
There has to be something more. I have to
exactly.
believe in your mission, your values. I have to feel appreciated, seen. I have to feel like I'm part of a sense of community. And if I don't, it's very easy for me to work exactly where I am and make $20,000 more a year and work for another company. And so from a leadership perspective, I have to think about this. Am I meeting the needs of our people? Are our
Hmm.
people's needs met? How can I re-recruit our people every day? Right? How can I
Yeah.
reinforce our culture, our values, our purpose, the impact that people can make? One quick story, Lucas. So I was having a conversation with a CEO recently, and I know that macro things change and economics go up and down, but this story I think is really interesting. Where historically, when he was recruiting someone, and he had a stack of resumes, and
Mm-hmm.
basically said, hey, like, okay, like, we're going to select this person because we believe that they have the most relevant skill set, experience, culture fit, all of these things. But in this interview, this candidate, she said, I'm picking you as an employer because of X, Y, and
Mm-hmm.
Z. Where it used to be the employer was picking the candidate, it's now flipped, right? Is
Yeah.
where these candidates, because they have more options, more choices, they're saying, hey, I'm picking you because I believe that my needs will be most met from a safety, belonging, appreciation perspective, right? I believe in your purpose and mission. I believe that I can have impact, I can have growth. And if that's not authentic, if I don't see that from an employee perspective, I'm going somewhere else. And so I
Yeah.
believe this topic is critical to how you will be successful as a business from a leadership perspective.
Yeah, and in at least in Poland, we sometimes recall it that people can work with a company or for a company. So
I like that.
maybe it's just a language, difference, but it tells a lot because if you work with a company, you feel part of it and you want to follow the same mission, the same rules, etc. But if you work for them, it's like, okay, this guy is just giving me a salary and I'm doing 8 hours job and that's it. So yeah, and I think I understand also your point of view. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. uh, and despite the huge changes that have been taking place for some time, mental health, well-being still remains a taboo topic in many cases, most also in, like, professional life. So now, looking from employee perspective, how does this recognition system, not only from a leader but also like a daily peer-to-peer, contribute to mental health, job satisfaction, overall productivity among employees?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Lucas, and I think that people are, it's becoming more accepted, to have this conversation out in the open, right?
Hmm.
Which I think is
Yeah.
a positive thing. Um, when it comes to recognition and engagement and how that can impact this conversation, mental health, well-being, I would encourage. I would encourage leaders in our audience to think about recognition a little bit differently. Because when I hear the word recognition, I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, that's nice. I don't. It's not a strategic thought necessarily, but recognition is a tactic to tell stories.
Hmm.
Okay. Recognition is a tactic to tell stories. People remember stories, they relate to stories. Stories is how I connect to what these core values actually mean in
Hmm.
the real world, to my job. When I see how my colleagues are having an impact with a customer, with a product launch, with a colleague, and it's tied back to a core value. It's tied back to a milestone around well-being and how we place that. All of a sudden, it becomes real. Okay,
Hmm.
so recognition is essentially a way for you to share uh, and reinforce the behaviors, the actions that you want to see more consistently across your team, no matter where they're located, in a positive way. Okay,
Hmm.
so recognition can be a very strategic, way that you reinforce well-being, that you reinforce mental health, that you reinforce your purpose, your mission, your values. And this can be at a leadership level, this can be at a manager level, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of studies that say engagement happens with you and your manager as an employee, right?
Hmm.
And also at an individual contributor level. So I want to empower, my full team to share stories and say and say that, thank you, and reinforce whatever it's important for us as a company. So when it comes to how we further address these topics, I would encourage our audience to think about how you can tell stories and share stories about the things that are important for your culture and your business. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to create confidence. It's going to create a sense of belonging, a sense of
Yeah.
connection, that people can have these conversations. And so recognition is a tactic to deliver on the storytelling, which then reinforces everything that's important to you from a leadership and as a business.
Yeah, and I see that in every almost every project because of course we have the whole strategy as a company, around the feedback about how we cooperate with each other, but I see that within each project itself there is this culture that is building like a microculture within the project for because sometimes we work with the same group of people for I don't know 6 9 12 months in one project, and we are a little separated from the company for this period because we are focusing on our delivery, our goals, ourselves. So usually after some time you see that team is more open to recognize each other and do it in public, and and basically it's working that way. And I think that for long period of we were focusing mainly on discussing issues, problems, because we need to resolve problems on a daily basis, and sometimes we forget about this second part, so small successes, even like I don't know, someone fixed a small annoying bug or resolve an issue, and we can recognize even for small things, and it builds trust and this transparency, the feedback culture even within the small team, so we are more open to each other and we are not only focusing on bad stuff, let's say, so problems and issues. Mm, okay, and we just explored the potential of improving employees well-being and cover, let's say, why it is important to focus on that area. So now I would like to focus on how. So I would like to get your opinion on how technology itself can enhance the employee recognition and engagement, and what specific tools, approaches have proven successful. Also, how can we measure the success in that field?
Yeah, absolutely, Lucas. So great question. I do want to. So obviously, we have a technology platform, and so I believe in our technology. But I also, you know, it's not technology is not always just the answer. You can't just throw
Hmm.
technology at a problem, right? There has to be a strategy. There has to be it has to be very thoughtful, right? And
Yep.
we opened up about talking about mental health, talking about burnout, talking about working more hours, and sometimes technology can proliferate that in not a good way, right? And so, when you get Slack message after Slack message after Slack
Notifications, yeah.
message, I feel buried. I feel behind. I feel stressed out,
Exactly.
right? As a leader, I should not. There's a tendency when I get that Slack message or MS Teams or whatever
Hmm.
you use for communication that I need to respond, right?
Yeah.
So as a leader, if I'm sending you a Slack message at night, what I'm doing is I'm basically telling you you need to be on, right? And that just creates
Yeah.
stress, which impacts
Pressure.
well-being and mental health and all of these topics. So as much as I love technology, I do want to be thoughtful about how it's applied, right? And
Hmm.
recognize the fact that it actually can contribute in a negative way if we're not thoughtful from a leadership perspective about how that technology is being used and the purpose and the boundaries behind it.
Hmm.
Um, Now, that being said, I of course believe technology can be a wonderful asset, and one of the ways that that we found this to be very effective is building community through what we call team events and challenges. Okay,
Hmm.
virtual team events and challenges, right?
Yeah, I like
So
that one.
So if you're located in Poland, I'm located in the U.S. Um, you know, we're not connecting in person, right?
Yeah.
So how can we create a sense of community and do that at a scale that's not just like whatever one-on-one in Slack or a group message
Mm-hmm.
in a more meaningful way. And so if you go to the next slide, wanted to share an example. Okay. And this is specifically for mental health, right? But what
Mm-hmm.
we do with a customer, and this is, I think anyone can take this idea and run with it, is we create a content calendar. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
typically we're looking ahead 3 months, and we're going to say, okay, for each of these 3 months, what are the big themes that we're going to focus on when it comes to bringing our teams together virtually for collaboration and engagement? Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so in this example, this was a challenge or a competition around mental health and overall
Nice.
well-being. Okay, and so employees, no matter where I'm located, right, I can say, hey, I want to be part of this challenge, and then there's certain tasks for me to complete, right? And
Okay.
what we do is we design these tasks to create conversations around these topics.
Mm-hmm.
And so now all of a sudden I'm crowdsourcing or having kind of organic, if you will, where employees can contribute. Hey, here's how I've had struggles with mental health, and here's what I've done. This is what I've found
Mm-hmm.
that's been helpful for me. Here's a resource. Here's a video. Here's a link that I found that's helpful.
Yeah.
Right, getting people to share, and now all of a sudden it's not a top down like I'm mandating that you do something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually employees sharing from themselves and having an openness, a dialogue around this conversation to support one another, to help one another, to make sure people feel included
Mm-hmm.
and have the resources they need to have that sense of well-being and support. So this is what obviously through our platform we apply the point system and
Yeah.
it's kind of that gamification, but you don't have to, right? From a leadership perspective, I can just plan out, hey, for the month of January, what's the big theme that I want to create collaboration around? What do I want to do in the month of February, right? And I plan this out, and so then
Mm-hmm.
I'm being intentional about how I'm bringing our teams together around the topics to essentially create that dialogue and that collaboration.
Yeah, we were using these challenges even in October. It's mental health month, let's call it that way. And I remember that we had a walking challenge. So basically, we were counting steps every day and fighting with each other about who made more steps that day, and how it's possible that someone did X amount of steps that day. Also, we were sharing our ideas how to improve our mental health on daily basis, and others can check it. So yeah, even exchanging the experience and knowledge on this, not work directly work related topics, because on a daily basis we discuss technologies, how to approach some problems, etc. Here we are discussing, for example, us basically, being more open to other colleagues at work. And it's very interesting. I really like those challenges. We were using them in the past, and it's always something interesting to participate. Mm, uh, of course, like the process of building this new approach of building better prices, more employee friendly, it's not quick and easy. So what do you think, what are the most prevalent challenges organization encounter uh, in recognizing and engaging their employees, and how technology also can address those challenges?
Yeah, Lucas, it's a great question. I think it starts, for me anyway, at a leadership level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I so I'm at a point where I actually think about, and perhaps other leaders, CEOs who are in the audience, hey, what's the legacy that you want to leave? Right. I know that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a big, a big topic, big question, but my hope, my goal is that, 10 years from now, whenever it is, that people who are part of our team are going to say, hey, John helped me be the best self, both professionally and personally, when I was part of that team. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to care and love people well, because I believe when I do that, it's not only going to have a positive impact for them individually, but it's going to help our business be successful.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think it starts with having this mindset from a leadership perspective. I want to grow our business. I want to be successful and win. So is much like very, very much, right? And I believe that the best way to do that is to have a team that just will is just really believes in your purpose and your mission, right? And to create that belief, there has to be trust. To create that trust, you have to care and love for people. So that's where it
Mm-hmm.
starts. That's where it starts. Okay. Um, if you have that mindset, this topic is not a one and done, type of, hey, we've checked the
Yeah.
box, moving on, right? If you truly believe that this is how you're going to be successful, you're going to dedicate time, energy, resources to making sure that this remains strong. So that's one thing that it's not a one and done. It's not a check the box. This is integrated into the fabric of your culture. It's integrated into your daily, weekly, monthly routines as an organization. Okay. And it's staying
Mm-hmm.
at top of mind. That being said, Lucas, it can't fall on one person. This is a common mistake I see. It's, oh, well, we have this person who's going to be our engagement leader. And now
Mm-hmm.
all you're doing, now you're burning them out. Right. And so
Yeah.
so it I think it's great to have someone who takes the lead and have some accountability, but it can't just fall on, on one person,
Yeah,
overall.
it's a
Yeah,
strategy, so it needs to be consistent across different teams, departments, etc., right? So at least
absolutely.
the common idea how to approach it. Yeah, but thank you for that. So you, at the beginning you mentioned that Cooleaf is working with many companies, different countries, different cultures, etc. So wanted to ask if you could share some best practices or success stories from any company that you work with, for example Montreal or something else.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so I think it's part of the value that we try to bring to our customers is the knowledge and the best practices of what other top workplaces are doing, so that you can apply this for your own organization and team. One
Hmm.
of the biggest and most important best practices is listening. Okay,
Hmm.
say that again: listening to your people, hearing your people. Okay, and understanding, where are you today when it comes to well-being and baseline. What is perception is reality. How do employees perceive your culture, engagement, sense of well-being? You're making that a priority from a leadership perspective. And so we use a pulse survey tool within our platform to gather this data feedback from
Hmm.
employees, so that from a leadership perspective, we're able to understand, hey, here's where we are. Right
Hmm.
now, the surveys are anonymous at an individual level. I can break
Hmm.
this down across teams, departments, locations. Right.
Okay.
But like, how am I going to make progress if I don't know where I am today? Okay.
Hmm.
And if I don't get feedback from our own people and then respond to that, you know, it's more of a, then I'm just pushing something on people. I want people to feel heard. I want people to feel like they can share their own ideas, take ownership, right? And then they become part of the change that's happening within the organization, because they believe that their ideas are coming to fruition, and
Hmm.
seeing that impact firsthand, right? But we use the survey tool to be able to have that baseline. Where are we today? And then how we then make progress. How do we move forward, and making sure that we're pulsing on enough of a consistent basis. For us, quarterly is a best practice.
Okay.
So that we can, continue to have a good, understanding of where how our employees, their perceptions, their overall, feeling when it comes to these topics. So an example of this, if we go to the next slide, is
Mm-hmm.
a customer of ours called Soltech. And another best practice that we see in the industry right now is ENPS, or Employee Net Promoter Score.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of people are probably familiar with Net Promoter Score because
Yeah,
on
I was about to say that basically this is re- not reversed, but this is this almost the same process as we do to our clients. Basically, we
right.
get their opinion, we understand them, and try to do something better. And this is the same here, right?
That's exactly right. And so, essentially, in the NPS it can be very simple. It's, would you recommend this product, service, business to a friend to use?
Yeah.
Right? That's the Net Promoter Score from a customer perspective. We flip that, like to your point, Luge, internally, and say to an employee, would you recommend this company as a place to work? And
Yeah.
you have a
And you,
scale. It's a 1 to 10 scale, and there's detractors and there's promoters, right? And so what happens as an organization, you have a historical trend of your ENPS score
Mhm.
over time. So you can see, when I'm making investments, when I'm making time, financial investments into a strategy or a program to help employee engagement or support engagement, that needs to be a data driven strategy, and ENPS is how we can make that data driven. And so I'm having a continued pulse on where are we, how are we making progress. I can break that down by locations and
Mhm,
departments and
mhm.
so forth. And for Soltech, we had the opportunity to support them with this strategy, and they saw a significant increase in ENPS, right? Employee Net Promoter Score.
Mhm.
And this is how we help them become recognized as a best place to work, a top workplace, which is how they recruit talent, how they keep talent, right? And obviously that's how they perform as a business. So it's all related. But I this is one of the areas in terms of you asked the question, how we measure impact, and being able to
Yeah.
do that through a survey tool, specifically using ENPS. This is a best practice we're seeing in the industry, to make this strategy data driven.
Yeah, we are using ENPSs internally, but also I like it that it's super simple. As you said, it's just one question, and but if you go deeper, me as an employee, I need to think, okay, would I recommend this company to my, for example, best friend or not? So here it's like it's not like just another survey that I will answer. I don't know, 3 or 5, whatever. It doesn't matter. I really need to think if I will recommend, and if not, what I would like to change, right? Not only for future employees, but for myself as well. But I like the simplicity here. Simple question, but allowing me to speak up, and say what I would like to change, or yeah, or adjust in the company. So. mm mm, I would like to ask you. First, you said that first we need to start by listening, and I agree 100%. But do you see any other first steps we can make when we would like to start working on building the culture of appreciation and empowerment in the workplace? Do you see any, let's call it, easy wins when starting introducing this new approach? So something that we can implement and see the first results.
Yeah, no, I want it to be tangible. Want to, create value for our team as quickly as possible. So I appreciate this question.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things, the first things,
Mm-hmm.
is having that reflection as a leader, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned that, but I want to ask myself, challenge myself, am I a leader worth following? Every day, every week, am I a leader worth following? Asking myself this question. And so this is kind of the frame of reference I'm operating in when it comes to how I can contribute and support our team. So am I a leader worth following? That's, just, from a leadership perspective, I'd say, one of the things, doesn't cost money. I don't have to invest in technology. It's a simple
Mm-hmm.
question I'm asking myself and challenging myself every day.
Human one.
That's right. That's right. Another bit of encouragement here, is that, you know if you can get 1% better, every week, every month, at the various parts of your organization, your culture, your people, it has a cumulative effect
Mm-hmm.
to have impact on your people, right? And so we like to think of what we call leading behaviors or leading indicators. If we want to achieve a goal, whether it be a ENPS score at the end of the quarter, a revenue goal, a customer satisfaction goal, what are the things that we can be doing day to day on the front
Mm-hmm.
end that are going to drive outcomes to that goal? Okay, so let's start defining what are the things that can have an impact on engagement, on culture, on well-being, and let's say, hey, we want to get 1% better every week, every month. Okay, and that then will impact. So I don't have to get 100% better. I don't have to have this monumental change overnight. It's how can I get 1% better at these things that we've defined are important, that are going to help we believe, drive outcomes for the goals that are for our organization, right? So that mindset, how do I get 1% better? How do I define these leading behaviors, indicators that drive outcomes? And then I wanted to leave you, Lucas, with one um, uh, personal example for us at Cooleaf. And I had no idea that this would be so well received. But it's consistently one of the top feedback points we get, is that we implemented what we call a quarterly day of rest. Okay. So we
Okay.
essentially shut the company down. No meetings, no email, no responses. One day per quarter, the team votes on the day that they want. This
Mm-hmm.
for Q4, it was Halloween, because a lot of people have families and they're going out
Mm-hmm.
doing that. And what we ask is just, hey, do something that brings you joy, do something that energizes you, spend time with your people you care about. And sometimes we'll have a challenge about, hey, take a picture of what you did on your day of rest, or share a story about what you did on your day of rest that brought you happiness. Now all of a sudden people are appreciating the idea of being able to just focus on something that's important to them, and they don't have to feel the pressure of work piling up behind them because we've
Mm-hmm.
shut the company down. And so I understand that not everyone can do that. It can, organization, size of the organization. There's all these dynamics, but this for us was so
Mm-hmm.
meaningful. It's a simple idea, but consistently, this is one of the top um, benefits, if you will, that our employees share, that is meaningful to them. So, again, just a practical takeaway, next step that my hope is could be helpful for others.
Yeah, and referring to what you just said with this day off and this time spent together, I see even in small teams that every time we meet in person, for example, next couple of days, weeks are significantly better. I mean, we deliver more, we are more open to each other. So it's really important to remember about this part of our work as a leaders, managers, whatever, that okay, we have something to do to deliver to our clients, but there's this also huge portion of work to do internally to upkeep our team, empower them, keep them motivated, etc. for me, what you just said about this, asking myself the question every day, am I the leader worth following, is something really important, because I can say only on our example or my example that, we have different projects, different clients, different problems, different periods in our work. Like, okay, we have one project that finish, we start another one, we jump to something else, and some but I always try to remind myself that above all we are, people, and we need to like to work with each other on a daily basis. Problems come, go, we resolve them and we forget about them, but
Yep.
above all we need to remember to, treat each other with respect, recognize each other, be transparent, provide good feedback, and you know this creates great teams on a daily basis. uh, Thank you very much for this answer, and I think we already managed to cover all the topics and questions points that we prepared before. So now we would like to allow you to ask your question. I'm speaking to our audience, so please drop them on chat, and Veronica will display them in a second, and we'll be able to answer. Let me also see if there's anything. Okay, we have the first one. So, in your experience, what are some common pitfalls or mistakes that organizations make when trying to implement a culture of appreciation and empowerment?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a great question. The Lucas, what you were just saying, like on a project team, um, hey, there's deadlines. Everyone's super busy. Everyone's got a lot on their plate. Once we finish this next one, this current project, we already got two more ready to go, like that I'm moving on to. I'd say that it's very easy to just keep going, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not take a breath and celebrate some of these small wins along the way, right? And then what happens if I forget to do that? All of a sudden, I'm like, oh gosh, I have to like
Mm-hmm.
manufacture recognition or whatnot. And so I would just say, instead of trying to like, force something, it's instead having taking that time to celebrate things in a genuine, authentic way as we're
Mm-hmm.
moving through the projects, as we're having any type of milestone, like to take a breath and celebrate those. And versus like just saying, hey, we're gonna have one big event, or I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying don't do those events, or but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that instead of just trying to like say, hey, we're going to save all of our recognitions, or we're going to do all of this at this particular event, it's how can I do this along the way, and
Yeah.
taking time to just recognize how far you've come, and making
So
sure that those stories are shared.
so to think more about it more like a marathon rather than sprint, right? So
just
using
just just
some.
remember, take some time to celebrate those wins that get you there, those day-to-day wins. That
Mm-hmm.
can be very, very motivating, very meaningful, for
Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like on a daily work, we forget about those small things. We focus on resolving problems, not like, those small successes, even resolving a bug, or I don't know, finding an answer for something. Mm, okay, let me check if there's anything else from our audience. Okay, I don't see any other questions at this point.
Well, Lucas, thank you for again
Thank
for
you.
hosting me and on behalf of Cooleaf, and just we just see this as such an important topic, and um, and we just see this as being critical to the success of businesses in terms of how they're leading, with a people first approach for their employees. So, and this obviously is a big part of that. So, but thank you for hosting
Yeah.
us and having the opportunity to share some of these stories with you today.
Yeah, thank you very much, John, again for finding time and sharing your experience. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for your presence and the questions. Uh, I hope you had as much fun as I did. This topic is really interesting and important for me. Uh, and I hope that together with John, we were able to show you the value and power and how to empower your teams in the workplace. Mm, I hope that we also managed to show you how technology can support you and your businesses in creating better and better workplaces, and also have a positive impact on the well-being of all employees. Uh, I would also like to take this opportunity to encourage everyone to initiate activities to improve mental health in your companies, teams, and I encourage you to visit the Cooleaf website and blog, where you can see for yourself what John was talking about today. And see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye bye.